Senator Sheehy, you're recognized.
Good morning, Generals. Congratulations on the appointment. Thanks for your families for their continued service. General Donovan, I'll start with you. As General Kate alluded to, we've had a complex history with our southern region going back 200-plus years, but I think what's most poignant for what the issue set you're going to be addressing as you enter this new position is we've had roughly a 50-year war on drugs that has had various degrees of effectiveness, whether it was Colombia in the 80s, Central America later, or of course Venezuela now. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. The new tools we have, many of which General Rudd will be bringing to the table and integrating, and tactics we've learned in the last 20 years, as well as whole of government policies we can implement. Although you're not in the seat yet, as you take this seat, and one of the core priorities of your job will be to help enhance our ability to counter the flow of drugs into our country that's killing tens to hundreds of thousands of Americans. How do you see bringing your resources to bear in Southern Command in cooperation with the Interagency Network to make our counter-drug efforts more effective?
Senator, thank you, and thanks for the time in the office call. Senator, you know, how I look at that, again, if confirmed in place in Southern Command, working directly, we talk a lot about Southern Command, but really linking Southern Command and North Command to make sure that we are aligned and synchronized much better, because any flow of drugs and other nefarious activities originating in Southern Command generally flows north, right? So the two commands aligned to use all those capabilities like cyber in a very synchronized fashion, I believe is what's going to provide, and I'll be responsible to provide those best military options alongside the other, the close combatant commanders, NORTHCOM, not even say Indo-PACOM, because of the western side of the continent, working with the Joint Staff for a collaborated effort for the best solutions, which would then in turn end up being that best military advice to provide the Secretary.
And one particular issue that I think is becoming more increasingly important, I think, to Senator Kane's point, you know, our partnership with our South American allies. I myself did a deployment down there in my days back in our organizations, countering narcotics, and I think those partnerships, everything we did was with partnership integrated together with the special operations teams of our host nations, but particularly predatory Chinese fishing activities. It sounds obscure up here, but it's incredibly important to the economies and the subsistence of those countries. China's global ghost fishing fleet is literally strip fishing entire fisheries all over the world, but especially in South America, where they're incredibly important, those economies. So I want to get to General Rudd, but I'd ask if you wouldn't mind giving me a written answer on that at some point, just how you think you can address, as Southern Command commander, the issue of illegal Chinese fishing. And General Rudd, it sounds like you're about to be our country's chief nerd. Normally, NSA and Cybercom, we find very technically experienced cyber intel pros, and now we're taking a knuckle dragger like me and putting him in charge of all that. So I'd love for you to explain to the panel why your background as an operator and door kicker and consumer of that information makes you uniquely qualified to, I think, help transform our cyber NSA paradigm to be more operationalized.
Senator, I think the question starts with the current strategic environment that we're in, that is very complex, a host of threats from a number of actors, and that the requirement to be able to integrate capabilities across the joint force and move fast, be able to scale these capabilities, be able to increase relationships not only within the department but across our allies, partners, and then increasingly with the commercial industry. As we talk about the technologies needed for this, I think it's really important. So speed is a component in everything that we do. And, as we talk, Senator, where I sit right now, I bring a deep mission-driven understanding of the challenges that I just described briefly in integrating the capabilities across the joint force in all domains. And so that understanding, that perspective from the joint warfighter, principally in Indo-PACOM in the recent history, but throughout my career in a number of other theaters. And then as most people are familiar with today, there's an increasing relationship in what we call the soft space cyber triad, those interdependence between those commands, those capabilities to deliver what our nation needs. But if you go back before we were really in tune to and focused on space as a domain and Space Comm, Space Force, and what they bring to this nation, soft and cyber have been inextricably linked at the hip throughout their operations. And I've been, again, the beneficiary of it. I've had the privilege to lead and command those types of organizations at the other end than what, if confirmed, I would bring in this one at the organization level.
Thanks, General. Yield back.
General Rudd, I think Senator Sheehy meant his question as a compliment, don't you? You don't have to answer. Senator King.